to say more. Indeed, I asked her only 2 weeks ago, when she was going out to the region, when she was visiting Cyprus, would she take the opportunity to also go to Athens and Ankara, but particularly Ankara, to say, I've seen a very positive start to things in Cyprus. How about everyone else who has a very central role in this, playing their part, and of course Turkey in particular. And what I would really want them to do in relation to this is, and others have mentioned this before, confidence building measures are critical to moving the debate and the discussions and the peace process forward. And that's of course not been, I think there was great hopes when the discussion started. They've been somewhat blunted. If we're going to get a new momentum going, then we need to see confidence building measures emerging that will signal, not just to the two communities on the island, but more importantly, internationally, that things are moving and that the international community needs to get behind them. And let me just give you an example of that. Simon mentioned about Sri Lanka. You will probably all be aware. I don't want to dwell on it, but I take, and Simon takes, a very big interest in this. And they're now just at the tail end of a very acrimonious and destructive civil war. And we've been trying to move things in a more peaceful direction. And I went to see the minister, a different minister in the Foreign Office who's responsible. And he said, the international community won't do anything because the two parties on the island won't speak to each other. We need them to speak to each other in order that we can move the process forward. Well, they can't say that about Cyprus. Everybody on the island is committed to the process. We need the international community. So Britain must play its role. Everyone else has mentioned the United States. Of course, that is the key. I got up in the House and said to the Minister a few weeks ago, how about giving Hillary Clinton a quick win? We all know they're not going to solve the Israeli-Palestine issue soon. In fact, if I'm being honest, Nat, 8 years from now, when Obama will probably come to the end of his tenure as president, I don't think many people would suggest he'll have resolved that particular thorny issue. And there are, of course, others, problems with Russia, problems in other parts of the world, Pakistan and India. Oh, we know them all. None of them subject to easy resolution. But they could have a quick win. They could have a quick win. Because in Cyprus, the solution is there to be made. What it needs is somebody to apply the pressure. And the only people that can apply the pressure are the United States. Which brings me finally, and I'm sorry to have gone on so long, finally to Turkey. We all know the key lies in Ankara. They're not engaged in the process at the moment. Every time I meet ministers, I say, Minister, when are we going to get Turkey engaged in the process? If you look back to the failures at the stage of the referendum last time round, in my view, and looking as objectively as I can, why it failed was because Turkey came in at the end and demanded the whole thing change, demanded a complete new set of conditions, demanded that they were taken into account. They never got involved through the process. They only come in at the end, and it would be folly to make the same mistake again. We need Turkey to be engaged. We need the British government through the European Union to apply pressure. We need America to apply pressure. I'm told that this is on the agenda for discussions between the Secretary of State and the Foreign, David Miliband, representing the Foreign Office. This is on their agenda. But the reality is, and I come back to the point I made at the beginning to finalise, in my view, the European Union is where the pressure can be put. There is no doubt, no matter what people said in this top table, that there are conditions for Turkey to join. I won't list all the ones within Turkey about human rights, about the deep state, about the Kurdish difficulties. Let me just mention that Cyprus has to be resolved. And as a goodwill sign to that, they have to allow Cypriot shipping to land in Turkey. That's the first sign, but it's only a precondition. We have to have Turkey come on board, not just with Cyprus, but with human rights and all of the other issues. And if we can do that, I happen to be one of those, I suspect I'm not very popular in here, I happen to be one of those that thinks that Turkey has a future in Europe. But it's not a future of the kind of Turkey that we've seen recently and in the past. It has to be a new Turkey for Europe. And if we can create that new Turkey, then I think that holds the key to solving the Cyprus problem.
Many thanks, Yolandi, and thank you very much for your work in Cyprus over many, many years. I was about to conclude, but Rudy says that he's got something urgent that he'd like to share with us very briefly, so I will give him...
It will only take a minute. I was listening very carefully to Andy, and there is something wrong with his analysis. On the one hand, he says, the key lies in Ankara, and that's a country. And on the other hand, he said, we need to help the discussions between your president and Talat. Talat is a mouthpiece. He counts for absolutely nothing. You should insist that your president, a country's president, a member of the EU, speaks to the president of Turkey. Nothing else will do. And there is where we have been staying and staying for years, and we ought to stop it.
We need Britain to put pressure.
I won't detain you any longer, but just to say I fundamentally disagree with that.
We need Britain to put pressure on Turkey.
I think I'm not here to say anything much really. I think that you have been very patient, but it's now really coming up to 9:30. And I know that you haven't really been able to contribute as much to this debate. That is partly to do with the fact that we've had so many parliamentarians joining us today. But I do want to thank all of the parliamentarians who have joined us and all of those who have sponsored this event tonight once again. They're not here now. I did thank them at the beginning of this. And I want to also say to you, to our community, that it's vitally important in the next few weeks and months that we remain engaged with our members of parliament. There will be elections coming up soon in June. There will be European elections, will be heard, and then the chances are we will have a general election, if not this year, then certainly by June of next year. So the political process is hotting up, and I think it's vitally important for all of us to be engaged now that the process of direct negotiations in Cyprus is continuing. So the other thing I would say is that I wanted to acknowledge the presence here tonight of the Foreign Office team, the new head of the Cyprus Desk, Stephen Kaufmans, here with his colleagues. And I'm very pleased to see you, Stephen. I hope that you have found this very, very helpful. We are trying to develop a relationship with Stephen and with his new team, and we consider it vitally important that we have a continuous dialogue with you as well. Finally, I wanted to let you know that as part of our ongoing efforts through the Federation, tomorrow we're having a working dinner. That is, the Secretariat of the Federation will be having a working dinner with the Shadow Minister for Europe, Caroline Flint, where we will have, with the Minister for Europe, not the Shadow, apologies, thank you, Bank. With the Minister for Europe, there have been quite a few shadows here today. Tomorrow we're seeing the real Minister for Europe, Caroline Flint, and we will have an interesting discussion with her as well. So thank you very much for being here and supporting the event tonight.